Hello everyone, hello. So hopefully you can hear me and you can also see me nice and clear as well. Hopefully there's not too much background noise. Just going to try to make sure that I've got everything turned off fan wise. Very warm at the moment, so had the fans running just to try and chill the air a little bit, make it so I don't sweat too much, but from the heat rather than from kind of going live. So we're back again. It's day 8. Live stream number 8. So we're live every day in August, as you may be aware if you're already kind of joining us for the first time. Hello, welcome, come on board. And if you'd like to see what we're going to cover tonight, I'm going to explain that now. And do subscribe if you're brand new to us and you want to get notified when we go with new material, new videos and live streams. So tonight we're going to look at Power BI again. Now what we're going to do, let me just bring over my main screen there and just cut that over and get rid of the title at the bottom. And if I can just put my little face in the top right there, just to give you a bit of a view into my world as I go through. So we're going to be covering what's going to be in the September material. So kind of let me just outline that a little bit. We are doing a 13 videos a month for September, so August, September, October and November, and those are, I always get the cursor into the right window and then we can zoom in a little bit better. There we go. So we are covering videos, episodes 1 to 13 will be in the August timeframe, so every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Although I've managed to mess up my schedule already, fortunately I had some stuff that come out of the woodwork a little bit and I hadn't had a chance to prepare these ahead of time. But that's something I'm going to get done next week, so we can kind of have them booked into the schedule, and they just go live as and when the schedule gets released. But we're going to talk about modeling the data for the next few live streams, and that's kind of what we're covering in the September. So we prepare the data, then we're looking at modeling the data. We will have visualized the data in October, and we're going to be talking about a little bit later in August after we've done model the data a little bit. Then we're looking at analyzing the data, getting some insights, understanding the data better, figuring out how we kind of, make use of the data insights that we're getting from the visualization. So how do we kind of get that, and turning in things like the AI. So what AI capabilities does Power BI have, and how can we make use of those? And also some of the other services around Azure that we can kind of hook into or receive data. And we're also talking about kind of streaming data sets in as well for that. And then finally, we got deploy and maintain deliverables. So what we're talking about, getting those workspaces turned up, getting that data uploaded, those reports, doing sharing of collaboration, looking at the natural language Q&A capabilities. So what do we have? How do we maintain that? What about these gateways that we need to maybe put in place? What about the scheduling of refreshes? Lots of things to talk about, folks. So we're going to do that, but this month, or in this works live stream, we're going to talk about modeling the data. So I'm going to go over to my next center. So what I've done is I've gone into Microsoft Learn itself, Microsoft Power BI, and I've gone to the Learn section in there. And in here, you can see we have like a starting point for learning Power BI, some documentation, etc. And one just want to pick out, there's a couple of things that we talked about earlier in the month. There's the dashboard in the day. You can download the materials. I've got some links in my descriptions, and I will put that in today as well. It's aka.ms/DIAD for dashboard in the day, and you can now go and grab that material. I'll bring up the screen in a moment on that. But we've got some additional things I want to share, like the YouTube channel, for example. If you go to the Power BI YouTube channel, for example, you'll have the monthly Power BI updates. You can kind of go and find those really quickly. And these are great videos that the Power BI team put out about what's in that release. So pretty much like mid of the month, we tend to get a release. It varies a little bit, but what do we have in that release? What's coming out? So this monthly cadence of release, we want to kind of figure out what's new, what's been changed, what's kind of in the roadmap for new stuff. And there's some great capabilities to understand in the new version. Come and have a look and see what they got to say. And there's also some additional videos around kind of some of the stuff they're doing. So we recently had the 5-year kind of community kind of review of the life of Power BI. And that was great. There was an anniversary and people kind of got involved in that. Whole bunch of other kind of different stories and videos around, and you can get more information from that. So that's a great one. And there's also, if you want to do some Power BI development stuff, there's a self-study kit. There's, I think we go back a little bit here. If you come down into paginated reports, which I think is this one here, you'll notice that there's a whole bunch of kind of videos. So if you want to do essentially a day kind of looking around what that is, there's a ton of different little videos here. I think nearly 5 hours worth of content around the paginated reports, and it's broken down into modules 1 to 8, 24 different visual videos, and you'll be able to kind of come and do this yourself, or I will be, when I get round to the which month was this going to be, so this is going to be in visualize the data. When we get to paginated reports, I'm going to be doing some information about that, and there's an instructor-led version of that paginated report course. I'm going to be essentially scheduling in a day in the I forgot what month it was now, October. I will schedule a day in October to do that, to take you through instructor-led paginated reports. So kind of keep an eye out for that. It will be announced in our streams and our videos, and also I've got a new website. We're currently in the final throes. It got kind of developed a little bit last week. There's a few more bits to do, so I kind of need to work with the developer next week to get that all finished off, and then we're going to launch that. So I'll let you know soon enough, as soon as it's available, and you can go and check it out. And we're going to have our videos and some links and some more materials, and also some of the other programs I have available, which will help you understand how to learn Power BI. So some of the different resources available. I've got Beacon Pathways, which is a platform I collaborate with the Pragmatic Work folks, and we can kind of make access to some Power BI reporting, development, and other videos around Power BI for the skills that you need. Of course, we're talking a lot about the DA-100, which is the new role-based certification that's coming out. And this is a great one for us to kind of just showcase what that is. So let me kind of just quickly bring that up. I'm just going to grab a new window here and go to the DA-100, so certification. So Microsoft Learn. I want to go to browse all paths. So I'm going to pick the data analyst role. And in here, you'll see there's a whole bunch of kind of getting modules and learning paths around that. But we're going to cover a bunch of that. And you see there's quite a few pages of this as well. So there's a lot to kind of share. Some of it's outside of just Power BI. Some of it's kind of very ancillary to the data analyst role. But from a certification perspective, let's look at the overview. And these are the roles that were kind of available, but the data analyst one has not made it to here yet. What we can do is show you the certification note. That's the DA-100. And in here, we've got the Data Analyst Associate certification. So it's a single exam. You get the Microsoft Certified Data Analyst Associate certification. It's going to measure you on these skills. And this is where we're doing our breakdown of how we're breaking it down for the months of August, September, October, November. If I go into the certification outline, in August, we are covering, back over that, we're covering the prepare the data. And then in the, a little bit too far, in September, we're doing model the data. So each one of these individual kind of set of tasks or requirements, kind of, details about what is in that category and area of kind of designing the data model. How do we define tables, column properties? We'll do videos. So this will be an episode, and then probably we're looking at kind of a couple of, so this will be an episode. These two, I think, another episode, etc. So they're mostly kind of aligned to, get a bit bigger there, aligned to a couple of specific items for every video. So there's 13 videos in every month, and we're going to get those out to you, and you can come in. We're also going to have different playlists inside of our YouTube channel. So you can go and kind of pick the Power BI or DA-100 playlist and walk your way through. And we'll be doing episodes and explaining what's in that episode. So if there's one that you're interested in, great, you can come watch it. If it's not so much of an interest, you think you've already kind of got that one under the belt, excellent. And if you're still trying to kind of figure out where you are skills-wise on kind of where you're kind of new to this, so that you probably maybe role aware of something called Pluralsight, the Role IQ. And in there is a certification kind of test you can go and take to measure your skills for, say, the Power BI for Analyst. And you come in and kind of do, it's 20, 25 questions, I can't remember which one exactly, but it goes and does a quick analysis of your skills, answer questions, some of them at their time, so you kind of, the speed you answer and kind of how well and which ones you get right or not. And then you can come and kind of a month later, come and recheck your skills and see if they've improved. But it also gives you personalized kind of training programs, so you can kind of go and get your content for specifically what your strengths and weaknesses are and kind of where you maybe kind of have a gap in some of your skills or strengths, and also look at kind of what your strengths might be and what your gaps might be. So here you go to kind of with this stuff, but you know what, we were kind of testing this out with some of my internal team members and getting them to test out this Role IQ, and we were saying like, okay, well, you know, let's import some data. And they were fine for some of the connectors, but other connectors were a little bit more complicated and they needed a bit more help. So we figured out that that's something we wanted to get some training on, and that's why we kind of, one of the reasons why I'm putting together this training program is to train some of my kind of team, as also to share that information with you folks as well. Okay, so let me kind of just close down those windows, get a few of these out of the way. So you can come to the Microsoft website, look for the DA-100 or look for the Data Analyst Associate role, and you'll get all of that lovely self kind of learning materials. And if you also go to the Power BI documentation page, you'll have kind of where do I get started, how do I develop. So we're going to have a quick look at, and not page related reports, go back to this one here. And we're going to go into the next one. So let me kind of just do that. So come into browse, come back down to the Data Analyst one. And what I'm doing is I'm going to look at model Power BI. And by the way, you need to kind of put a space. I can't type. There we go. So we want to look at model the Power BI. So this is, we've done kind of prepare the data. We're doing kind of this one tonight. We're going to have a quick look at this one and seeing how well we can kind of get to learn how we do things from a modeling perspective. So here it's obviously part of a kind of collection, and we're going to look at things like relationships and how do we do that. So we're going to go and grab an access database. By the way, if you want the access database, there is a little link here. Just click on the link and go and grab that access database. I already have it. And essentially what we're going to do now is going to open up Power BI. So let me just open up a brand new blank Power BI. And it seems I can't type under my microphone. So let me kind of, I was trying to keep it nice and close. There we go. So just a brand new empty Power BI report. What we're going to do is we're going to grab that and go and insert some data and then look at the relationships that exist between us. So that's opened up as a blank file. Let me kind of move that over. Give it a second. There we go. And bring that into the main window, and we'll maximize that up. So we don't have any data. We don't have any reports. This is blank. Nothing on this. We have nothing in our data window, in our model, or in that. So we need to go and grab some data. So we're going to click get data, and we're going to come down. Now notice that you don't see access database here, but we're going to click on more, and we're going to go into databases. Let's give that a second to load. And in here you see that we do have access database as one of the many different connectors available. So SQL Server and a whole bunch of others there. But we're going to use access database, click connect. I'm going to try and remember where I put it. I think I put it in here, and there we go. I think it's there's the file I need. So I downloaded it and I put it into one of my drives here, and let me click open. Now what we'll see here is it's connecting to that database file, and now we're going to go and choose which of the structures, tables, queries that we want to kind of connect with. So I'm going to say, look, you know what, we do want all of this. So it's kind of just for simplicity, I'm just going to checkbox all of that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the transform data. This one here, because I want to, before I kind of fully import the data, I need to do some additional cleansing operations. Okay. So first off, I'm just going to click this refresh. Just kind of, I know it was like a few days since I kind of ran through this example. So I just want to refresh. I know the data's not changed. I'm not changing anything in the database. So that's kind of, that's good. Let me kind of just zoom in. Notice right at the top, we got a whole bunch of kind of additional information that you might not see in your version of Power BI. And if you want to see those, you go to the view menu and you can turn on additional quality, distribution, profile, and custom quality. So as I go through and kind of pick some of these, you'll see that we're getting details and below for the distribution, got some stats kind of being popped up at the bottom as well. Lots of cool information there. Now notice kind of it's, I don't know if you can see here, right at the top there, ABC, ABC, ABC. So all of these, if you look at them, are all text. And it's made a determination that this is text based on the first 200 rows. And we can turn off that functionality, but we're going to kind of leave that. So we got that for geo, we got sentiment. We've got a few different data types now. We've got 1.2. Now, if I actually, let's zoom out and click on that and then zone in, you see that that's a decimal number. And we've got different ones like 1, 2, 3 will be a whole number, percentage, date, time, even time zone. I did this one earlier last week for a client that was essentially wanting to deal with daylight savings time, etc. And I know some locations did and some don't. But, you know, this is kind of doing an offset based on the day of the week, sorry, the day of the year, based on the daylight savings, where we go forward and now. So you kind of, some of the things you need to be, you probably also need to kind of look at things like locale, duration. So there's a few different data types there. And what we're going to do is we're going to apply a few changes here. Now, the first one I'm going to kind of look at, and actually kind of, if I go down and just click the drop down here, you'll see there's a kind of preceding 0 on a bunch of these. Now, if you just converted that string to a number, those preceding zeros would disappear, and that would mess up some of the numbers. But one of the things here, I'm looking at revenue, you know, that's decimal. Well, you know what? That's probably what we want. And we're going to make sure that it's either fixed decimal. So is it in a kind of dollar value or some other currency you want to have? Number of units, zip code, etc. So we're good. And this one here, date, we're going to change that one to date. So what I'm doing is I'm making some changes. And as I do that, if you look over the right hand side, you'll notice, let's do that again. You'll notice that we have a new applied step. So I'm going to go and click on that, and I'm going to show you kind of what the changes. So obviously we can see the changes here. But I kind of want to see all the changes that are happening. So if I go and click on the advanced editor, let me kind of zone in, actually be able to click that as well. I'm going through it. So profile, keep that. Click on there. And now what I've got is all of the steps in the order that are being done. So basically we're doing this step first, which is make a connection with the access.database type. We're going to go and, in this case, you can see here, we're getting the, remember when we brought those tables in, that kind of was one individual query. So this query is for the BI sales fact table. And we're getting the data paint data set for that. We're bringing that in. Now we're doing a change on the type with the transform column types to a currency type for revenue column. And for the date column, we are changing that to obviously a date type. So I can see all that. Let me kind of zoom out a little bit. And what I'm going to just do also is just kind of show you something you might want to not be aware of. If I can copy all of that and just come and open up a brand new empty new source, and then go to blank query, I'm going to go to the advanced editor on this as well. And basically this is kind of then just empty, nothing there. If I copy that in and click done, one, it's actually going to do all the steps that I did. It's basically kind of doing step 1, step 2, step 3. It's called it query 1. I can go and change that. I'm going to call it, Neil's copy. And I now have another copy of that database, or that specific table, I should say, that specific one, which was the, so we'll look at which one it was. It was the navigation. We're looking at the sales fact. So basically this sales fact table is now copied here. So if you're not sure about something, you can maybe go and create a copy of it, play with the data, keep the other one kind of out of harm's way. And then if you kind of, okay, well, that is what I want, what you could do is just take the steps and replace it over the existing table, or just, whichever way you're going to do it. You want to kind of probably change the existing table because you probably have other things like relationships and everything else, and maybe even visuals that are pinned to this structure. Okay, so that's going to give you some where you can drop down and also do things like filtering. So I want to remove, and let's uncheck that. I'm going to kind of just give all the 106, 364. So basically those ones there. Now what you notice is I've got another filtered row column there. I do have a little icon to the right. If I click on that, that brings up a window that shows me what are the kind of keep these rows, and here's the rows, and here's the clauses. So I can add an extra clause in there and just kind of add more stuff in. But I've got a lot of flexibility in terms of which columns, dates. So maybe I'm going to look at also, that's going to be on or after in month. That was what I was looking for, in month, and basically this month. And now I've got a dynamic kind of filter being applied for current month, and I don't have to come back in and change this all the time. When I flip from August and September, it will be the current month. It will be just September's data. So right now it's giving me just the current month. So I would then apply that change, and off I go. So these are the certain things I can also, and you notice if we go to the very top, and you've got the M code, which is date dot is in current month on the date column. So we're basically looking at the date column, and we know what the current month is based on the values that we have. That's going to give us some insights into kind of what we're going to return. So if I do close and apply, I'm now going to actually load data. So the field pane here is now going to process, is going to grab some data from that model, the access database is going to start bringing it in. And then on the right hand side here, in a second or two, you'll notice what we will see is populate the data for that. That then is in the model. Right, so we kind of have a starting point for bringing some data in for something like the access database. Let me kind of zoom out of that for a sec. And go over back to the instructions. So this was kind of getting that access database, following through some of those instructions. And what you'll see when we finish, we'll have something like a relationship that exists between the sales and the product table. So in here, product ID, of course, they need to be the same data type. We can go into the relationship manager and kind of work out what the relationship is. Here we've got a single entry on the dimension side, and on the fact side, which is the sales table, we're going to have a multiple, which is a star symbol, and we have a double arrow, which means it's filtering from both directions. So when I click on product ID in the sales table, I can also filter the results in the products table. And you may or may want to have that as a single filter and which direction it's flowing, or you can have it as a both filter and it's going to kind of filter from both sides. So these are the things you're going to learn when you come through that. And we can see here, as we go through, you've got also many to one, one to one, and you've got many to many as well, which is a more complicated relationship. But the filtering and direction of your relationships is going to be very important for your model, not only from performance, but the results to be accurate and return the way you want them to be. Okay, so let's go have a quick look to see if that is loaded into our Power BI model. I know that there's kind of quite a few rows in one of these tables, so they actually, the main sales fact, or kind of you see here about 10 million rows there, similar. This is a little bit behind, so this will be done in a moment. And then you'll see it kind of change from applying query changes to identifying relationships, loading data, and the information is going to come right back. Now we go into our data pane and we go to maybe the sales fact table, and we can see that information. Now notice if I go into my revenue, because I put this as a data type being essentially a currency one, and the local is UK, it's put pounds in, not dollars. Although we had dollar symbol, it's a currency kind of we're doing it. So we have the ability to choose the kind of revenue. And you can see here that what we're doing is we've got currency listed up here as the type. We also have a number of, kind of formatting actions, like how many decimal points and other ways of changing the formatting. So you can kind of make some changes here. I would recommend you make most of your data type changes in the mQuery kind of before you bring the data into the Power BI model, because you can make a change here, but it's a lot more expensive and more kind of processing power required to make changes here. The relationships that we looked at were kind of here, manage relationships. It's going to be, you see this a few times, and you can zone in on that. And you can see that we have one that isn't listed. So if we kind of try and tick it, I've already got a relationship that actually would, that's active using that. So it's going to, sorry, this one's going to create ambiguity between it, because it kind of, the way it kind of is circular referencing essentially. So what we're going to do is we have this relationship. If we go and look at the model pane, we'll see that it's showing, and let me just kind of move stuff in a little bit more of a kind of location. So I'm just going to move some stuff, just going to, let's kind of fit to screen and auto size, and so you can just move that out of the way a little bit. So fit to screen. So sometimes it doesn't really work very well on fit to screen, but what I want to try to show you is that there's a relationship that is dotted. And this is the inactive relationship that we have here. So if you see the dotted symbol, it means inactive. What you can do is you can use that in your measure. You can kind of use the user relationship keyword, and that's going to be fine. That's a more complicated thing. We're not going to go into more detail today, but later on we will talk about that when we go through the modeling episode. So in September, I'm going to do some modeling videos, and I will specifically pick this out and go through this relationship. But notice the arrows are pretty much going in one direction. They're all single, so they're all going from the one direction into the multiple. Gonna move that a little bit out. So essentially, if we look at this here, and I'm actually going to just play this around a bit. I'm going to move some stuff there. So what I want to do is I want the kind of one side up the top, and I want the many kind of what it's filtering below it. So if I kind of just move this kind of round about here, I think that's kind of where I think would be a good place. So notice what we have now is we have, oh, this one actually, sorry, wrong. I always forget I need to move that one a little bit higher up. Okay, there we go. And that's kind of more where I want it to be. So if you look at kind of what we have now, we have an arrow coming down. We have an arrow coming down, coming down, coming down, and finally also coming down. Now, what we're doing is we're saying we're filtering down here. So that's kind of going to be useful to kind of try and think of it from a perspective is the BI manufacturer is going to filter both the sentiment and the product table. The product table can also, in a way, when we kind of use measures to filter the sentiment. The product table is being filtered by manufacturer, but then I can also filter the sales table. And I've got another copy of that, that table on the other side called Neil's copy, which is essentially doing the same thing. So what we show here is a couple of them also kind of aren't filtered there at all. We maybe want to kind of add that in. I would say that what we'll probably do is want to replace the BI date with maybe a better date table. Come and unpin the options for file options here. Come in, just wait for that to load. Coming down to the report set, sorry, the I always forget where this thing is. Let's have a look. Data load. So I'm going to make sure that this is unchecked for me, but it probably is checked for you. Now, what that means is every time there's a date column, it's going to build an internal hierarchy, and that's going to be very useful if you want to kind of have the year, month, quarter, and kind of other kind of time related kind of capabilities inside of Power BI. But I would build my own date table. I'd probably go to someone like the SQL BI team, grab their latest and greatest DAX for building that and use that and save that. But for right now, getting started, learning it, maybe want to turn this thing on. Okay. So we've done a very quick thing. We've brought some data in. We don't have any visuals, but what we could do is start to build out our visuals. So what we're going to do is just kind of start grabbing some data, kind of checking some boxes here. And that's kind of, so we know we've got some relationships in play. We're just going to go have a bit of a play now. So I'm just going to move some of this over a little bit so I can see the manufacturing name. Now notice we've got BI manufacturer and BI product. So basically if I kind of choose that again, notice that it's the same value. And that's because there's a relationship between product ID from BI manufacturing product. So BI manufacturing and product, we've got it on. Is actually the manufacturing ID is the highlight the cell there. You'll see that that's kind of highlighted the manufacturing ID. So we go back to my report. You'll see that we have manufacturer. I'm not showing the ID. I'm showing the name of the manufacturer. But you know, we would basically also maybe see that. Now I want to also see product. So I can see now we're starting to build. Let me kind of move that to maybe a matrix table, and we can see a little bit more kind of some of the capabilities of this tool. So under that, you know, what the products are, but maybe I don't want to have manufacturing twice. I'm going to have product as the top, or kind of whichever way around I want to do. So product is going to be, so manufacturer is going to be columns, and then on the side we've got product, and maybe then I want to also kind of start working out how I'm going to build out these sections. So like, you know, do I have different entries? Let me kind of click that one off a little bit. Okay, managed to make it disappear a little bit in the background. And now I want to kind of start seeing revenue. So let me kind of bring revenue into values. So I want to start seeing now what revenues are, but notice that there's kind of a lot of repetitive values there. So something tells me that probably the actual model itself needs to be probably attuned. I'm going to start bringing in some date stuff as a slicer. So I'm going to kind of minimize that a little bit, this one. And I'm going to kind of bring that in. Now, I probably, maybe I'm okay with kind of that as a hierarchy, but I want to kind of maybe change that to be a, that's kind of where we are. Oops, I kind of get it off there. Highlight it again, get the right one. So we want to maybe start doing this as an interactive. So as I choose different values, you can see that we've got different selections. So I'm going to start building out capabilities in here, maybe with a date range. I'm going to choose some of the design elements of that. I'm going to see what we kind of have. There's a bunch of stuff we're going to do. So we will start building out some example reports as we go through those episodes. So not in the live streams, but in the episodes, we go in a lot more detailed steps and we build out some reports. And then episode 1, then episode 2, we'll kind of build on episodes 1s, and we'll do kind of all the episodes for prepare the data. We'll get the data set completely kind of up and running, and then we're good. So we're going to say we're going to close out this specific kind of quick demo. We will be doing episodes that will go into a lot more detail, but say the links of what I've shown you already for the kind of self-service training. Let's kind of come back to this one. There we go. So if I go back to here, the links, this is also in the description below for this session, and you kind of will be able to come in and run that a little bit. Just had my monitor fall off. I knew it was falling, but I just wanted to wait for it to finish before I spoke. There we go. And let me close down a couple of these windows. Let's see if there's anything in the in the social. So if you have any comments about anything, you want to ask a question, feel free to do so. Now, we have been running the competition, and we've been running that competition since last week. Let me kind of just go and grab up this one here. So the competition we had, which was a code word that we gave every day. So they're in the recording, so you can go and listen to the recordings to get the code word. We are opening up a competition for a training seat on the DA-100 4-day instructor-led course, 17th to the 20th of August. That's the date, yep, 17th, 19th, 20th, yep. So not next week, but the week after. That if you want to enter, I will be doing a form to fill in. I was looking at the forms today and it didn't quite kind of work out the way I was hoping, and so I need to do a bit more work on it to get it ready. So we're going to have it open 4 days. I'm going to try and get it ready for tomorrow, and in live stream tomorrow I will give you instructions on how you can enter. We're adding an extra day then to the 4 days of entry. So we were going to do a drawing on the Wednesday. We'll do a drawing on the Thursday for who's going to win that seat, and also some discount codes for those who aren't winning of the seat but kind of want to attend. We have a limited of 15 students on that course. It's instructor led. It's the DA-100. I'm going to be teaching it. I was involved in some of the DA-100 course content kind of scope, and also some of the exam questions as well. I've helped kind of review, not design the questions, but review the questions. So those who are taking the certification. So come back tomorrow or watch the video if you can't make it live. We will give you instructions. I also put some information out on Twitter and Facebook about the competition entry, where you can go and enter, put your details in, put the code words in that you know. If you don't know those code words, look back at days 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think there's either days 2 to 7 or 1 to 6. I can't remember. It's all a bit mixed in my head at the moment, which days we did the code words on. But there's code words for every single day, and you will be able to fill in that. But I'll have full instructions on where the code was, on which videos the code words are in. I'll give you that information as well. So that is a wrap for us. It's been great having you join us. I appreciate your time. Hopefully, if you like what you see, give us a good thumbs up. Subscribe if you don't already, and we will see you in the next video. Have a great weekend. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.